Well, welcome to season 10 of the award-winning Retail Tea Break podcast. My name is Melissa Moore, the retail advisor. I'm a retail educator, trainer, and retail conference MC. And each week, as your host, I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers, and brands to dispel the myths, share their knowledge, and give you an insight into the retail industry. There's well over 100 episodes now for you to listen back to on your favourite podcast platform, or of course watch us over on YouTube. And while you're there, please hit that follow button so that you get to listen first every week. And if you've enjoyed an episode, don't forget to leave a comment or subscribe to the podcast to stay connected. And remember, sharing is caring in the retail industry. Share an episode across any platform with your network. And if you're on LinkedIn or Instagram, tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. Oh, and a little secret we've been keeping. You can now find the Retail Tea Break podcast on Substack. You'll get to read my take on each episode, extra learnings, and lots more insight. So subscribe to the Retail Tea Break podcast on Substack today. In the meantime, then, grab a cup of tea, sit back, and enjoy season 10 of the glorious Retail Tea Break podcast. This episode of the Retail Tea Break podcast is brought to you by Smart Gifty. The modular digital platform connects gift cards, loyalty, and data into one unified experience and is used by shopping destinations, shopping centres, and retail chains across Europe. Well, what makes Smart Gifty different? It's not the technology alone, but a philosophy to treat every customer as a guest and every interaction as a moment of hospitality. Gift cards here are not just payment instruments, but a powerful marketing and insight tool. It's a true closed-loop system, meaning funds stay on the issuer's own account with no banks, no intermediaries, and no revenue leakage. The platform is fully modular, highly personalizable, supporting physical and digital gift cards, Google and iOS wallets, and can be implemented in all back-end systems. So for more information, visit www.smartgifty.com today. So today I'm joined by a guest who is a powerhouse in Irish retail leadership with more than 25 years experience driving operational excellence, leading transformation and building genuinely inclusive workplaces. She's made a lasting mark on the industry. She's steered the business to national recognition across multiple fronts, from winning the People's Choice Award at the Charity Excellence Awards to being honoured for talent acquisition strategy at the Irish HR Champion Awards. Her leadership has also been celebrated at the National Diversity and Inclusion Awards, the Business Post Leadership Excellence Awards, the News Talk Changemakers Business Award, and the Generation Apprenticeship Employer of the Year, recognising everything from disability, equality and social inclusion to ERG leadership and large employer excellence. This lady is phenomenal. She's a leader who doesn't just talk about culture, she builds it, measures it, and wins with it. So I am delighted to welcome Edel McSorley, Operations Director at Mr. Price Branded Bargains. Welcome to the Retail Tea Break podcast.
Melissa, thank you so much for having me. That's some introduction.
You've had some impact on the industry, and I know certainly with the team around you there. So I'm really looking forward to kind of pulling that apart and I suppose sharing your insights and your learnings with those listening too. But look, first of all, I suppose to tell us a bit more about you in the time that it takes to boil a kettle, which I am told is about 2 minutes there. As soon as you're in the kitchen, I think this is a really handy one today.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about you and your background in the industry.
Okay, so I didn't originally train in the industry. I trained as a Montessori teacher and found myself into retail and really loved it and started studying at that stage. And I suppose bounced a little bit around from retail management, which I absolutely love, to buying, but retail buying as well. So I have been around in the industry for, I'd say, over 25 years now. I'm afraid to even think about that. So I'll skim over that. I had left retail for a little while and was in warehousing and sales, but it just wasn't my thing. I think I was missing the chaos of that happens, just the unpredictability. And I then returned to a startup business that I had previously worked for the owner of. A crazy idea in a financial crisis called Mr. Price, and nobody knew who it was, including myself. And it's just been a whirlwind ever since.
My goodness. Unbelievable that actually you've been there since the beginning, because obviously over 70 stores now.
Yes.
It has such a huge impact, the store does, I suppose, up and down the country. Everyone knows it. And it's great to kind of hear that you were there at the beginning. But I suppose more importantly, then your current role is fascinating because there's been so much talk, even over the last couple of years about the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion. But what you're doing in Mr. Price is more than just compliance. It's a lot more than just talking the talk. It's life changing. Like it genuinely is.
Yeah, we very much, I suppose we're sometimes we're at the eye of the storm and we don't necessarily understand ourselves the impact until people take us a step back
Mm.
and they show us, or we have individuals coming and actually telling us their stories and talking about what that journey looked like for them. And that's a project I'm engaged in at the moment with a case study, and I'm starting to realize just how massive this is. Or family members will reach out to us and they will talk to us about not only the impact or the effect that we see on the colleague who's developing and unfolding in front of our eyes, but their home lives have changed so much. So really incredible. And I suppose, Melissa, it never started to say, let's change
Mm.
recruitment or let's change the inclusive landscape. It was one employee at a time, one disabled employee that came in and taught us a different way of looking at things. And that was really, we were obsessed with the tasks themselves and why the tasks weren't getting finished and standards weren't improving, because I suppose we as a leadership team were at fault because we were telling people what to do and they might have just done it once then because we didn't tell them how to do it every time or to do
Yeah.
it every time. I'm bringing in this one disabled lady who's still with us over 12 years later and just thriving. You wouldn't even recognize her. She taught us that if we focus on what people are good at, and what they really want to do, and then remove those tasks from people who don't like them. That when we bring that together, what can happen? And we were able to measure the productivity in our shop standards and realize something's changed there, something has shifted. And that really opened up the conversation about an untapped talent pool. And how, if we look at a strengths based model, so looking at what somebody just absolutely loves to do, and try to break down this whole idea, particularly in retail, that our colleagues need to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, I can't.
No, no, absolutely. And I think it's really odd, kind of going back probably to even when you started in retail 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We were all taught to do everything and just told to get on with it. But actually, of course, there are jobs you don't enjoy or you're nervous of because you know it's not a strength. Whereas, as you say, if you can tap into the positivity of what you love to do, I think that's almost infectious in itself.
It is, and then it develops from there because what we're really good at today, we could be good at 10 more things by the end of the year or the end of 2 years or 3 years. But we have to start somewhere, and confidence is built shift by shift. It's not built the moment we walk in the door, and that's really what we're seeing. And it's just that development of people and allowing them to come in and find their space. And for some of our colleagues, they started with a sweeping brush, and we were uncomfortable with that because that's not a meaningful job, or so we thought. But they taught us that that's what can do when they're at home. That's something they're very confident with, so they can start there and build on from it. So there's a lot of learning on that. And then all of our partnerships grew from there for different individuals in different areas who all just needed somebody to say, yes, I'll give you a chance.
Well, it sounds so simple. Saying yes, inviting these people in to work from you and then building on the skill set that, as you said, they're coming with skills, like they're coming with skills, they need to be recognized. But also, again, it's this confidence piece, which I think in the best retail stores, you can feel that people are confident, they feel empowered. And if they're empowered, it is infectious, as I say. They start to help everyone around them. The impact this must be having on stores, like I know you said you can measure it, which is phenomenal, especially when it comes to standards, but the impact it must be having on other people, colleagues in store, like they must all be raising the bar.
They are all raising the bar. Interestingly, in this case study I'm doing, I interviewed some of our store managers and they told me something that I was blown away with. They told me about colleagues who came through partnerships. Now, initially they didn't know that because everybody's hired from the same place and disclosures are really minded very carefully. But
Mm.
as the people got comfortable, they disclosed what their past was and how they came into employment. But what we were told was that the individuals were coming in early to work. They never wanted to be idle because the mind needs to be busy and the routine and structure is really, really important. So what actually happened was that by the individuals coming in early, by always being busy, lifting a sweeping brush, lifting a toilet brush, just never ever stopping work, that it raised the standards with all the staff in the store. And how some of the younger staff are learning from our lived experience, colleagues, and them helping them to say, I did that too. That was a mistake I made, and if I can help you avoid that, I will. So yeah, it has built a real place of belonging. And then colleagues with, like one lady I was speaking to, a store manager, and she told me she hid a mental health diagnosis for 14 years.
Wow.
And because of the place that she's working and because of the discussions we're having and the colleagues who were talking all of the time, she felt that it was safe to disclose. So she tested the water and she realized, oh, nobody even batted an eyelid here. So this is actually okay. And then she flourished after that because she could
Mm.
be herself. And she helps colleagues who are maybe having challenges, and she talks about initiatives and runs fundraisers, and she's really, really fantastic. So definitely when you can have a place that welcomes everybody, you get a sense of belonging. So it's not just inclusion. Inclusion gets you in the door, but belonging retains the person and builds them into a career.
And you certainly have, like the career path, the longevity, and of course, that we know across retail, recruitment's really hard at the moment, retention's really hard, but you don't seem to have those issues because you are genuinely, as you said, so welcoming in the door, but then you do so much to keep people with you.
Absolutely. And it's just really early identification, staying in contact, trying to have that human connection. Doesn't always work. Sometimes things break down, and that's normal. That's human beings, and it's recruitment and it's retail. But if you can keep in contact and you can have very regular conversations and check in on challenges and help colleagues through, because some of our colleagues mightn't have worked for a very, very long time, and some could be midlife to later life starting work for the first time. So some of those unwritten rules that we know about because we've worked all of our life, some people don't know them. They don't know
Mm.
the cues. They don't know even like, how do I ring in sick? Or who do I ring into? Or what do I say? So having those conversations regularly and saying that you have a mentor, you have a buddy, you have somebody that you can ask the questions to. So trying to hit in on the problems at a very early stage, because what we found is that if we can retain somebody in the first 30 days, we can retain them longer because their confidence has built enough in that time for them to be able to then start to stand on their own 2 feet.
That's incredible. So actually, we're knocking down, well, like we're purposely knocking down barriers for them, that barriers that you and I may not have, but whether it's someone starting out their career or someone coming back into the workforce, as you said, just don't know how to do some of the things that some people might seem really easy or simple. But again, we're taking any of that doubt away from them. And again, the way of making it inclusive, keeping them longer, as you say, that 30-day mark must be phenomenal to see them that they're coming in, they want to be there, and that they're
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the colleagues' point of view themselves, they say those 30 days are really, really difficult. And when asking them, what can we do to improve that transition, that period, every single one of them have said actually nothing at all, because it's their own mindset that they're battling with. So, but the behaviors of those around them who are kind to them, who are mentoring them, who are helping them, and trust is a massive piece to play, that when maybe an individual thinks that because they have a past that they will be hidden out of sight, and then they're not hidden out of sight, that they're given the same jobs as everybody else with the same responsibility, and responsibility starts to grow and they grow in confidence themselves, and they've realized that they're not a special hire, that they're the same as everybody else, they have responsibilities and they grow with it. And it's a really interesting piece. And, chatting to a young manager who came through our mentorship program, and, he in his very early days had what I would term as bad behaviors. And he explained it to us very, very well that he was behaving badly because the jobs he was getting weren't really nice jobs. They weren't responsible. He'd seen no value in them. I think you might have even had him on one of your courses, Melissa. And when that was explained back to him that the jobs were really reflective of the behaviour, so how do we get out of this? That let's look at some more responsible jobs. But his behaviour has to change. And it did. And he progressed then into a management role and is now further progressing in the business and has been through the retail apprenticeship program and thrived in that. So it just shows that somebody who presents as bad behavior, and you tend to put it down to the young generation, but it's not. The problem isn't the young generation, it's ourselves.
It's
That
so true. It is.
we're,
It's so true.
yeah,
And
the
actually, that's made me quite
assumptions.
emotional because when you start to think about it, this is so much bigger than retail. Like, we are not only giving people careers, but as you said at the beginning, this is impacting every aspect of their life because they've come to work, someone's listened to them, they've been able to feel it's a safe space to communicate and say, hang on, I want more responsibility. Let me prove to you what I can do. And instead, and look, we've all been there with retailers that have gone, no, no, you need to tick these boxes first.
Yeah.
You've opened the door there. So tell us a bit in that respect about, I suppose, some of the programs you do run. Again, mentorship program, you're allowing people to do more and more in the business, and it's helping them grow.
Yeah, so one of the programs that I love the most is Women at Work. And this program was designed because I had recognized amazing women who had maybe reared families, who had been out of the workplace for a very long time. But in that time, they ran the most difficult business in the world, their own
Yeah.
household. But when I would meet with them, they would tell me that they are unemployable. And those are the very words. And you break it down, and some of them could have law
Gosh.
degrees. Some of them had years of experience. They like really, really capable women. But the confidence was completely shot because they seen the gap in the CV. They seen technology moving on in 5, 10, 15 years, and they just couldn't see a way back in. So we developed this program that was originally called Women Back to Work. That idea that let's mentor, let's use our confidence and give that support and help in order to get back to work. Give a two-way feedback system. So we don't only measure performance and attitude, but we measure confidence as well. So when that the lady in question sees that she's measuring her confidence at, say, a 1 out of 10, but her mentor's measuring her at a 5,
Mm.
that it opens up to that conversation about why are we at different stages? This is where I see you at. And it really grew. But we changed the name of it to Women at Work because we then started to identify that there were a lot of women who never entered the workforce in the first place.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting, especially
And in some
nowadays.
cases, some of the groups that we were very much coming to our attention was traveller women, the travelling community and rearing families, and for whatever reason,
Mm.
and women who really, really wanted to enter, and then really had this block because they were at a stage in life, they had no experience, they had no references.
Yeah.
And they really felt that they had nowhere to go. And there's a really lovely lady who works in one of our stores, and I think she was 57 when she joined us.
Mm.
All of her life, she had been a carer for her sister who had disabilities. And then, without her sister passed away very suddenly. So, without any notice, she found herself that her carer's allowance was being cut off. She had never worked, so she'd no references, she'd nowhere to go. She was too young to get a retirement benefit.
Mm.
And where was she going to go? And somebody had just said to her, pop yourself over there to Mr. Price. They hire through programs. And she came in and she explained her situation. And I think she's with us 4 or 5 years now, and she's really thriving. She's one of our personalities as well. So there's so many groups that if you can just fill that gap and just say, come in, let us help you, let us find your talents. It's okay that you haven't worked before, you haven't worked in a long time, but we have decades of experience. So how about we use some of that until you have enough confidence in yourself?
Gosh.
And so many of these women are thriving and are now mentoring other people. And then our other main program is Tribe. And the idea behind Tribe is you run with one tribe. It can be a good one or a bad one. And if our work tribe can be a supportive, inclusive place, somewhere that no matter what your problems are, somewhere that you can go and you can identify with somebody. So that young manager that I spoke about that joined us at 15, he was our first tribe mentee. So, and
Wow.
he didn't even know he was being mentored, but
Yeah.
he was on the program being mentored, just that we could show him what he can do. And this program then is run for all of our programs. So people post addictions, people who have been before the courts. So anybody who really needs a supportive work environment. And Melissa, we're finding more and more school dropouts.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really negative term, and I don't want it to come across that way because school's not for everybody. So we're
Mm.
finding kids that just didn't work out in the school system, and we're now bringing them in through referrals from schools and referrals through organisations into tribe to help them to find their feet. So
Gosh.
it's powerful.
It is because it's funny. Like I'm looking at these words in front of you: diversity, equality, inclusion. Scrap that. You have an open door
Yeah.
policy. That's what it's really starting to sound like. It doesn't matter if you've got a skill set or you don't know you've got a skill set. Like there is a place for you here because unlike a lot of retailers, you're the guys doing the work. Like you are really investing in everyone that comes through your door to make them capable, but also able to see that they can do it.
Yeah, and it's not just come through the door and work for in an entry level role, but what we've found is the entry level roles are really, really important and we shouldn't disconnect from them or we shouldn't disregard them because the colleagues are saying that everybody comes in at the same level. They don't
Mm.
feel different. They get to
Yeah.
train at the same level. They get the same program. They get the same review process, the same probation periods and then move on from there. So we have seen some people who have come in and really questioned how are we going to make
Yeah.
this work, who are now starting in management development programs, one of which is starting the after only 15 months, he's
Wow.
starting the apprenticeship program next year. So he'll have hit the 2 years at that stage and he's on an individual program in the business at the moment for him to get him so he's ready for college. And he was telling one of our colleagues last week, come September, I won't be very free because I'm going back to college.
Isn't that incredible though? And it's layering on more skills, obviously doing an apprenticeship program, going back to college can be
Yes.
this scary in itself. That's a whole other kind of rule book or even skill set. But to want to do that, to be able to drive towards that, again, must empower this person, but also I'm sure people around them almost cheering them on.
Oh, and that's what amazes me the most. And I'd never seen it happen before, particularly in retail, where you visit a store and you're chatting to a colleague and they are championing and cheerleading other colleagues. And they're saying, have you seen him or her? Did you hear that they're doing this, that, or the other? And they're telling me about how well the other person is doing. And I just love that, because in other industries or other places I've worked, it's about the Mayfain, it's
Yeah.
about I'm better at this and I'm the most suitable person. But now what we're seeing is people really rallying each other along.
I love this. I really do. I think it's the way retail should be, and again, you get longevity out of it because everyone is happy because they're on a journey. But look, I want to kind of talk about, I suppose, where on earth does, and maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way now, I'm thinking, but where does like HR fit in? Because again, there are rules and regulations and all that stuff. Where does this sit alongside this incredible kind of inclusive, diverse, policy? And it is open door and then keep them because they want to be there. But how does that all knit together?
It's a very tricky one, and I can sometimes, without meaning to upset HR people. And our own team are used to me, so they're used to how we work and how we motor ahead. So I suppose it is difficult with HR because HR is are writing our policies to protect our
Mm.
business, and that's what we need to do. And we always need to be thinking about protecting our business. But policies alone, Melissa, don't change the behavior. The
Yeah.
actions change the behavior. So we have to go beyond policy, is how we term it. So allow the individual to come in and have a human first approach. Talk to them, give them the same chance. We're not talking about special treatment here. We are talking about probation periods. We are talking about rules and regulations. The only difference is that we're doing a touch point in between. And we're trying to identify the problems early and then alleviate them so that when the end of the probation period comes, that person is set up for success. And if they're not, by the way, probations are failed because the person mightn't be suitable for retail or they mightn't just be ready. So HR really come in by supporting, in our terms, and I only know Mr. Price, so I can't speak for
Yeah.
other organizations, but they come in and they really build a foundation for us. And we look at this together and we go, this is the human being we want to help. These are the challenges. How are we going to overcome it? So we build a plan then together and monitor it together. And if and when we hit in biases, we look at that and we say, how can we overcome this together? So it's very much a together approach. And I think without that, you won't change anything. But what does happen is that through some of our colleagues, challenges are identified within our policies. And then we look at that and we go, if that doesn't work for him or her, it actually doesn't work for any of our colleagues. So let's actually change that policy to be more inclusive or more human or more like give somebody another chance there, if that's possible and if that's doable. But they are the same rules and regulations. It is the same terms and conditions. So once we work together, or if HR are going to run these programs, they just have to think about human and policy and
I love that.
not just policy.
It is, it's individual first, isn't it? It is
Yeah.
that person in front of you. It's not the black and white piece of paper. And again, I know there's plenty of people listening going, hang on, I wish my HR department worked like that. But
Yeah.
as you said, this is built over time. This hasn't been a quick whim because it's trendy right now to talk about those three words. And I'm really mindful of that, that this has been a progressive piece of work, if you want to call it that now, that actually the whole company's embraced.
Yeah, and we're learning as we go. That's the most important thing. And we never set out to do this. This wasn't something that we thought like we will try to lead out in DEI. And actually, we didn't even know what those letters meant.
Yeah.
People kept talking to us about it, and I had to Google it at an awards event one night because I was like, what are they talking about? So it was definitely never a strategy or never an approach, but it went from, I suppose, thinking about it being a CSR thing, and that would be a
Yeah.
lovely thing to do, then to turning it around and realizing this is a human right.
Yeah.
This isn't a charity lens. And if we don't turn the dial from charity to rights based, we won't actually grow this. And then saying that person has the right to work. But because they had a past or because they had no experience or they have a gap in their CV, we're making a decision about them that we really shouldn't have any right to make. If they say this is their desire and this is their real wish in life is to work, well, then that's what we should allow for and build on and just give that I suppose, the foundations and feed that and try and allow that person to grow. And for us, in 85% of the cases, that's what happens.
It's so refreshing to hear this.
Yeah.
Like it really is. And I know the impact it's had, obviously, on your colleagues and the wider team. I'm also then fascinated to know, like, customers, obviously, at the end of the day, it is a business. And those customers coming through the door are so important to you, as they are with any retailer. What impact has this had on the customers, I suppose? Do they realize? Do they need to? And do they care?
For the vast majority, they don't know. They
Yeah.
don't realize, and it's not even comes into the equation. And I don't think it matters. Once you come
Yeah.
in, you get good customer service. You're dealt with fairly and efficiently. Does it really matter where somebody comes from or what their
Mm.
background is? But we do see an increasing number of compliments coming through, and they're compliments that just makes you sit back and go, wow, I can't believe that interaction happened. And that manager I spoke about in terms of her own disclosures, like a customer wrote in recently about her to say that she had observed this happening, that there was a family in with a child with additional needs who was having a stressful moment. And she sat down on the floor with the child and played blocks. The parents were able to continue their shopping and come back then, and the child was relaxed. And I've heard about customers being really dreading coming into the store because they knew that when they got to the till system, that their child would be overwhelmed. And
Mm.
one woman told me about a cashier just coming out from behind the till and bringing the child up. And then it was the child's birthday, so they got a balloon and they got to blow up the balloon. And it's things like that, that human kindness piece, that it doesn't happen by accident. It just happens as part of a culture, and a culture that I don't even know how it built or when it built. It just seemed to have happened. So we're definitely finding those touch points and getting nice feedback about things that we definitely don't train for.
And you can't, can you? As you say, that's a human to human interaction.
Yeah.
This is what you hope for in stores. And we talk about customer experience a lot and the customer journey. But actually, when it comes down to it, fundamentally, it is those moments that I actually say are life-changing for your customers because again, they've been seen,
Yeah.
they've been included, and it's made their day just slightly better. Like that's phenomenal. And you must be so proud.
Oh, most definitely. And those colleagues that do get shouted out by customers, we kudos them and we make
Uh,
sure that, that they are talked about and they are celebrated and keep that going. But yeah, really, really proud, but proud as well that we don't ask them to do it.
yeah,
Because if we
yeah, for
did
sure.
ask it, this is what we found out from the early days of Mr. Price, it only ever happens once.
Leave them off and let them get on with it, and the customers love it. I
Absolutely.
love that. So,
Yes.
I suppose looking ahead then, with everything you have done, what are you most excited or most curious about, do you think, when it comes to the future of retail? I suppose in general.
I think the future of retail is at a really changing time and a really exciting time. So I'm excited to see how we navigate AI and people because the future definitely is people and how our business is going to change in and around that. And then in terms of our own business and this area of inclusion, what I'm most excited about is to see the careers that we're going to have in the next 5 to 10 years and the individuals and their lived experience and how those roles will change as a result of that. And just how we manage recruitment processes. I would really love to see that.
That's amazing. Oh, I tell you, you're leading the way. But look, last question, because we could definitely talk all day, and I know we'll
Yeah.
talk a lot more about this in the future. What's coming up next for you and the team at Mr. Price this year?
Mr. Price, we have exciting new store launches coming. Can't reveal the locations yet, but we have lots more exciting stores coming in the near future.
Very
Yes.
excited. Watch this space.
Yeah.
I have no doubt we will see that, and I'll certainly be sharing that because it is
Thank
so
you.
exciting. That you are continuing to grow as a business, but
Yeah.
also more importantly, the people you are bringing along with you on that journey. It's the impact you're having on them, and they're then having on that wider community it's unbelievable. Like it really is.
Yeah. And I think what we're learning as well about people and learning that ways that we did things that we thought were the right ways, that we now need to question, do we need to unlearn those ways?
It's such honesty, and I appreciate it. I really, really do. So, look, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please do share it with your colleagues out there. It's such an important one. And obviously, you can find us across all podcast platform. If you are on social media, do tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. You can, of course, listen back to all previous, gosh, it's well over 100 episodes now on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, hit that follow button so that you get to listen first every week. You can watch us on YouTube, of course, and subscribe to the Retail Tea Break because you've no idea how useful that is to us. So, Adele, look to finish up. Where can people find you?
I think the best place will probably be LinkedIn. That's the only social I personally do, but any of the Mr. Price socials will get to me.
And actually, I'll pop all those links in the show notes. And I must say, you are brilliant at shouting out your colleagues on LinkedIn. There's always gorgeous stories and pictures. So do go and follow Adele on LinkedIn if you're not already. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really, really do mean that. It's incredible what you're doing. That lead you're taking, certainly here for kind of banging the drum for we can all do so much more in retail. But well done to you and the team and continued growth with the business and all those amazing people that are coming through the doors. And as you said, staying to build these incredible careers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Melissa, and well done with the podcast. It's a really important channel for us all to have.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
A huge thank you again to Smart Gifty for bringing us this episode of the Retail Tea Break podcast. Smart Gifty is a modular experience and insights platform trusted by leading destinations and retail environments. From shopping centres and retail chains to independent businesses and tourism or food destinations, Smart Gifty empowers every place that treats its customers as guests, not just transactions. So for more information, visit www.smartgifty.com today.